Wonderful world, where today we'll be making the most amazing, wonderfully delicious mashed potatoes. So I'm going to go through this step by step, but I just wanted to point out to you the ingredients that I have assembled. I have a bunch of potatoes that really need to be used up, but even if they've started to sprout, that's okay. We're going to wash these, we're going to skin them. I've got my peeler ready, and we're going to cut them up. I'll show you how we do that. Put them into a pot of water with kosher salt, and we're going to use buttermilk and some butter to finish them off at the end. All right, let's get cooking. Okay, so I've washed all my potatoes. I've got them all here washed. You can just use however many you have and then just scale back the amount of butter and buttermilk that you need, and garlic. So I'm using, well, it's hard. Some of these are little, some of them are medium size, but you saw how much potato I started with, and I'm making a big batch because these potatoes need to be used up. So while I'm getting these peeled, I'd like to peel them all and then I'll put them over in my saucepan while they wait for their friends. I do want to mention it's important to wash your potatoes. Now you might be thinking, I'm not going to be eating the peel. What does it matter if I wash them? Well, let me tell you, it does make a difference. So wash them really well, and you'll notice when you're peeling, you know, this peeler goes through and it, you know, touches the skin, and then it touches the clean part of the potato that you're going to be eating. So you do want them to be peeled. If you're peeling and you notice like a dark spot, just peel a little more until it looks like you've gotten rid of all the bad part. It's okay if there's a little bit there that needs to be taken off. These are just old potatoes that need to be used up. So there's another little spot there. We'll just peel a little bit deeper. If you get to one that's truly bad, or if there's any kind of smell, just get rid of it. You don't want to use a rotten potato, but sometimes as they get older, they get a little bit of dark spot. That can just be peeled off. So I do want to mention that it is important to wash them. All right, let's get this peeling done. All right, so I've got our potatoes all peeled up there. Like I said, you can scale this recipe depending on how many potatoes you need to use up and how many people you're feeding. Well, I'm just going to line them up here because my next step, as I cut these up, I'm going to put them into my saucepan here, my pot. And I'm going to put a little bit of water and salt into here so that they can sit. With potatoes, you want to, it's just kosher salt. It is so much tastier than iodized salt. So I'm just putting a healthy amount in there. That'll really help flavor the potatoes as they cook. And I'm gonna go get some cold water. And it's best to start potatoes with cold water. Just that way they cook more evenly. So I'm going to add more water to this, but I'm just putting some water in now. We really just need enough water to cover up our diced up potatoes. So let me get that in there, and I'll add more once I get ready to cook those. I'm just kind of giving it a swirl. So let me show you what we're going to do with our potatoes. We're going to cut them into small pieces. So I'm getting them like that. And the big thing is you just want to try to be consistent about the size. So this piece is a little bit bigger, so instead of doing it into 4, I might do it into 6 pieces like that, so that all the pieces are roughly the same size. That way they cook evenly. We want these to cook and get really soft and ready to be mashed. So movie magic, chop, 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 chop. And so boom, here we go. We've got our potatoes all diced up there, and I'm just going to add a little bit more water. I need enough water to cover them. So let's get that filled up, and then we're going to get our garlic ready. So the garlic, again, all these items, it's to taste, it's how you like it, but I found that being generous with the garlic made a big difference. So I have a whole bunch of garlic here, and we're going to be basically cooking the garlic along with our potatoes. So we want to get all these skins off of them, And some people have a garlic peeler, which is really handy, but I do not have one of those. So I just have to peel it myself. So just peel all those pieces and just toss them in your pot. So I found that if I kind of squeeze it a little bit sideways, it helps to release the peel. So there's getting that very thin skin off. So this is going to really impart so much flavor. It's really the garlic that makes it so good. I made this recipe the other day and my kids just loved it. They liked it so much. I mentioned it to my sister, shout out KW, and she said, oh, please share that recipe. Now, since we're going to be eating this whole thing, if there's like a really nubby, crusty piece there, let's just remove that, okay? Because everything that goes into here, this pot, is going to be strained and we're going to eat it. So I'm going to continue. Now I've got all these tiny little ones. I'm going to peel the rest of them and put them into our pot, and then we're going to get it boiling. So we've got our garlic in there, and I've got my flame. I just turned it on before I came over here. We're going to bring those potatoes up to a rolling simmer. We don't want to boil them too much. We don't want the pot to overflow, but we've got them going. And while I was making the garlic mashed potatoes, looks like my daughter was busy making some delicious turkey burgers, and my other daughter was busy making some delicious, healthy zucchini sauteed with onion and green pepper. So yum, we're gonna have a great meal tonight. I just wanted to show you our potatoes here, and I've got the second set of turkey burgers, but I'm just stirring this around. You see how it's a nice healthy simmer. Maybe you call it a slow rolling boil, nothing too aggressive to shock the potatoes and make them fall apart. And I just kind of touch them with my knife to check them for doneness. All of a sudden they'll be soft. I'll get a fork and stab one out and then test it to see if it breaks apart easily. I think they probably need maybe another 5 minutes. Once they start cooking in this temperature water, it doesn't usually take too long. It also does depend on how many potatoes you have shoved in there though. But maybe about 5 minutes more. I'm gonna set my timer. Fixins for our hamburgers, or should I say turkey burgers. And I just wanted to point out, I'm gonna be adding some cracked black pepper to our mashed potatoes. Having a pepper grinder like this, you can get this for like $1.99. It makes all the difference. The flavor of the pepper is so much better. So let's come over here and check on how our potatoes are doing. I only have 13 seconds left on the timer. So let me grab one. Now I'm gonna try to find one of the bigger ones, because if the bigger ones are done, I know the smaller ones will be done. And yes, let me just put it over here. I can see when I use my fork, it just is so tender and ready to come out of the water. So let's get that drained, and I'm going to bring it over here like this and just carefully pour them in to my colander. And oh boy, don't those look good. Now my colander is a little bit too small for my saucepan, but that's all right. We'll just be kind of careful. If I just keep a nice controlled pour. I'm trying to get all that excess water out of there, and yeah, I think I pretty much got it all. So let's just return these guys in with their friend. A little bit of water, but that's okay. And now, oh, you can see there's one of the garlic cloves right there. We're gonna add butter. Now that's a fair amount of potatoes, so I'm gonna be generous with my butter and use this big chunk. This is probably about maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to point out that I have a masher. I have not always had a masher. This was something that I probably got about 5 years ago. I lived my whole life without one, and I just used other things to mash my potatoes. I would use well, I often use my hand mixer. You have to be careful because you can over mash, but I do like having a masher like this, because as long as I don't give up and stop too soon, I'm able to get a really pretty creamy consistency. And I like it if there's every once in a while a tiny little piece of potato in there. So you can see I'm losing a lot of steam and moisture, and that's also to help melt my butter. And now I've got my buttermilk. Okay, this I think is the secret ingredient. We're just gonna pour some in, and that might be enough. Remember, you can always add more. You can't take it out. You'll just have sloppy mashed potatoes, and we'll just, it was probably maybe a half cup, 3/4 cup, we'll see. I want a nice creamy texture to these. And buttermilk, I need to utilize it more. You can make amazing buttermilk pancakes. You can make homemade ranch dressing that tastes so delicious. You could make mashed potatoes like this. There are so many uses for buttermilk that I'm gonna try to use it more often. I think that was the perfect amount because this is about how I like my mashed potatoes. And we're gonna add a little bit of cracked pepper, which is a little bit hard to do one-handed, but you know, I'll pretend. We've got all that delicious pepper in there. I'm just gonna mix it in a little bit. And I did add salt to the cooking water, but it might need more salt. Salt is so key to bringing out all the flavors. So I've got my clean spoon, and once I've used the spoon, I'm not gonna go back for seconds. That wouldn't be hygienic, especially during the time of the Rona. And blow on it because it's kind of hot. Oh wow, those are so good. I'm gonna add just like a pinch more pepper and a little bit more salt, but it's so good. And it's the buttermilk. Buttermilk is not expensive. This half gallon probably cost about $1.70, but it makes such a difference to the food. So if you don't have buttermilk, you can sour some milk by putting vinegar in it, but I'm telling you, this is like my new favorite thing, buttermilk, and you can drink it if you want. So thank you for joining me today. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave comments if you like. And most of all, signing off from Nicole's Wonderful World, make it wonderful. Hope you guys really enjoy this wonderful meal of delicious, garlicky, creamy, so amazing mashed potatoes. Wow, this looks so amazing. Yum. I cannot wait to try this. What a wonderful dinner. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your help. Yum. Make it wonderful.